You're watching the Sporting Time Show with host Doug Thompson. Sponsored by Jewelry Barn and Pawn Shop.
Good evening and welcome to the Sporting Time Show. Doug Thompson, and alongside me again, thankfully, is Taryn Johnson, the sports anchor at WNKY. Taryn, how are you, bud?
I'm doing great, Doug. Thank you so much for having me back. I really appreciate it. It's always great to be on with you.
You know, it's February 6th. It feels like February. The little whatever rat thing that is that said we got 6 more weeks of winter. Not a rat. Sorry about that. Whatever he is, I don't pay much attention, or I'd know his name. But it feels like it, right? It's cold.
Yeah.
You know?
Puxatawny Phil, I believe that's what you were looking for there,
Just
Doug.
show off, Taryn. Show off.
It sure does. It's quite frigid outside, I would say.
But these are the times that we want to be inside watching basketball, and we're trying to get to that point, right? Limited capacity.
Absolutely.
Limited games. You know, a couple of weeks ago we had 30 cancellations in a week, but yet we still played 30-plus games statewide, which is okay, right? You got it. You got to do it. And but it's interesting because you look at Warren East High School, they're 0-2 with 9 cancellations.
Yeah, Doug, that's just the I guess the type of season we have all signed up for, right? You have teams that have played upwards of 11, 12, 13 games, and then you have teams like Warren East. Now, Warren East maybe is a little bit of an extreme scenario, but you do have teams like Warren East that have played 2, and we are already in the month of February. It's crazy to fathom, especially in the high school basketball realm. We have never seen anything remotely close to this, Doug, but it's high school basketball in 2021.
At least they're playing.
Yeah, absolutely.
At least they have an opportunity to play. And let's talk a little bit. Let's break down in this segment the boys and the girls basketball. We kind of looked at the top 4 or 5 teams ranked right now. If we start with the boys, there is definite separation. The Bowling Green Purples right now are way above anybody else. And just to give you an example, Taryn, they're averaging almost 80 points a game, 25 points better than the next best team down the list to them.
Wow.
That's tough.
That's a great stat, Doug. And we saw Bowling Green have that break, have that 2-week break, but they just picked up right where they left off, quite literally. They are a machine. They're rolling, and as you mentioned, they're head and shoulders above everybody else. They are practically in a league of their own here. Among local area teams, and that's not a knock on any other team, but just a credit to how good Bowling Green has been this year and how productive that offense has been, as you mentioned, averaging 25 more points per game than the next highest team. That's a pretty telling stat, Doug.
Yeah, and you know, they go against Somerset, which was having a great season out of the 12th region. They just blow them out of the water. Ashland Blaze are one of the top teams, top 25 teams in the state. They almost beat them by 30 last week. Very, very good. Another stat I want to get to real quick. They're shooting 45% from the three-point line, whereas the best top 5 team is at 31%.
Wow.
Very tough to compete against that level.
That's a team full of Steph Currys, if I must say so myself. That's unbelievable. 45% from beyond the arc. That's as telling a stat as any right there, Doug.
Yeah, and you look at, let's say another team, Clinton County, 11-1. They've played 12 games. And again, I said last week they punch up. They love to play tougher competition. They're doing very well. They average 60 points per game. Bowling Green, 80, right? So big difference. Warren Central, 4-1. They've won their last 4 games. Lost the first one of the season. They're averaging 64. Franklin Simpson, 3-1. Allen County Scottsville, 7-2. Very, very interesting. But, you know, when you look at the boys versus the girls is much more compelling, much closer.
Yeah, yes, sir. The girls are much more competitive. At the top of the girls, we have Metcalfe County at 7-2, Warren Central at 4-1. Even on the girls' side of things, Doug, as we mentioned a couple minutes ago, we are seeing the discrepancy in the amount of total games played, with Metcalfe County playing 9 and Warren Central only playing 5. But at least they are getting multiple games in there in the first month of the season.
Yeah, and when you look at the girls' rankings and you look at points scored per game and points allowed, they're very close. They're within 2 or 3 points of each other, much different. But you and I will get into that more as we get on into February and kind of break these games down. But before we take a break, I got to tease our first guest coming up has already inked her name into the history books for college basketball. She was a 4th Region star. She joins me next, right here on the Sporting Time Show. We're going to take a short break and more right here on WNKY NBC 40. We'll be right back. My guest tonight is a former 4th Region girls basketball star who has now inked her name in the history books at the college level. As a freshman in college, she was named the Mid-South Conference Freshman of the Year. As a sophomore, she was named the Mid-South Conference Player of the Year. As a junior, she was named to the 2nd team All-American. And as a senior, she is just a few points away from becoming the all-time leading scorer at Lindsey Wilson College. My guest tonight is no other than Reagan Turner. Reagan, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks. I'm happy to be here.
First of all, congratulations on all your successes. I am not surprised, but that was a pretty big list. You just got your 2,000th point on December 5th, and since then, you surpassed, I think there were only 3 Lindsey Wilson College basketball players that ever achieved 2,000 points, and you're about ready to eclipse the number 1. Talk a little bit about that. I know you don't go out, and you've never gone out to say, I'm going to break this record, but you've done it. Just kind of talk about that personal achievement.
It's pretty exciting. It's something I like to set goals for myself and try to achieve them. But it's also something, just hope it happens, and especially with the crazy season this year, just hope it happens, try to do my best and work hard and see if it'll happen.
You know, Reagan, watching you play in high school and then watching you play some games in the Mid-South Conference, you are playing against women that are, in some cases, 6'2", 6'3", in some cases, even taller. You are not 6'2", you're not 6 foot. Talk a little bit about how you've become such a great scorer. I think I know, but just the style of your basketball.
Oh, yeah. You just have to find different ways to score and try to just add to your game and try to get better. Like, I still try to drive to the hole and everything, but you also have to work on your three-pointers and your jump shots and just trying other ways to get open and score.
You know, your first step was always amazing with the ball. I mean, you were very quick off the dribble, and I've seen you do it at the college level. I mean, you begin to penetrate, and next thing you know, you've got the basket. But talk about the difference when you're playing against student athletes that have achieved great success at the high school level, and now you're competing with equals, and you're having to go in there, and they're very tall and very good defenders. What is that like?
Oh, it's a lot different from high school, because usually in high school you can always just drive and a lot of times do whatever you want. But whenever you get to college and just everybody's just really good offensively, defensively, and everything else. So it's a lot different for sure, an adjustment, and just try to work on and get around.
One of the things I noticed, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you have not missed a game since you started college basketball. Is that correct?
Not anymore, sadly. I had that since freshman, but I actually, a few weeks ago, I ended up getting COVID and had to sit out a few games, so that really hurt. But those were the only ones I missed, so sadly not anymore.
But, I mean, as physical as college basketball is, and as physical type of game that you play, I'm amazed that you didn't get injured. I'm glad you didn't, but turn an ankle or, you know, get a sharp elbow to the face. I mean, you've stayed really healthy throughout your career. Talk a little bit about college ball, about the speed of the game and the difference between where you are today as a senior versus where you were as a freshman? We got about a minute left in this segment.
Just a lot more like mentally tough, just mindset, having more confidence, and just things of that nature. Just, I would say mainly that, and just a lot more like leadership too, and like just trying to be a player, good player, like just all the way around.
Was there much of a transition for you? We got about 30 seconds. Transition from you from going from high school to your freshman year of college.
There is always an adjustment that you have to work on, just like things like being stronger with the ball because of all the other players being good defense, and making stronger passes and things like that really stick out of things like that I had to work on.
All right, Reagan, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to talk more to Reagan about her 4th region teammates and also about the Turner sisters. We're going to take a short break. More of the Sporting Times right here on WNKY NBC 40. Welcome back. Reagan Turner, a senior at Lindsey Wilson College, is our guest, a former 4th region basketball standout. Reagan, I've got to ask you about the sisterhood of sorority at Lindsey Wilson with girls that you played against when you were at Monroe County High School. Bree Glover, Kaylin Hale, Natalie Pierce. Who am I leaving out? Let's see here. Rosemary Jackson from Greenwood. What is it like to play with those players today?
It's really awesome because I already, of course, know who they are and everything back then. It's kind of crazy to think that if you'd asked me back then that I'd be actually on the same team with all of them. It's kind of crazy, but I'm actually roommates with Kaylin Hale. And
wow.
We've always joked around because we were rivals, like did not like each other. Here we are roommates now.
You know, I can only imagine how happy the Mid-South Conference other teams will be when you graduate. Talk a little bit about what your plans are after you finish your career at Lindsey Wilson.
I have actually been applying to physical therapy schools.
Okay.
And have gotten into one. I'm still waiting to hear back from a couple more, but they start in the summer. So hopefully getting excited to start that adventure in my life.
Well, you still have a lot of basketball to be played. And I've got to ask you, if you were to talk to high school young ladies that are getting into high school basketball, you certainly have proven that if you put your mind to it, you can do whatever you want to do, not only on the court, but academically. You are so strong. You've won so many achievements at the college level academically. What advice would you give to a young lady that wants to play basketball, wants to become good as a basketball player, or enjoy the sport?
My biggest advice would probably be just don't settle. Just know that there's always more that you can learn, that there's always room for improvement and room to get better. And just also just attitude, always just try to be positive and upbeat. And if you're like that, you're also making your teammates better, and having a positive attitude in like classroom will also help you do better in school too.
Yeah, and that's such great. I love the advice that don't settle, because you really don't have to. And obviously you have a lot of support. I know your mom and dad. I've known them since Monroe County days. And but let's talk a little bit about the Turner sisters. You are one of three, or one of four rather. Lauren, your older sister, is a coach, volleyball coach, assistant coach for basketball at Monroe County High School. Your younger sister, Grace, is a pole vaulter at WKU. And then there is Ainsley, who you have told me and Grace have told me that she is the athlete in the Turner family. Is that true? That
is true. She has so much potential. I mean, she's just athletically built, and I think she's going to be the tallest out of all of us. And if she puts her mind to it, I think she could be very successful.
How much fun has it been? Obviously, when you were all in high school or Lauren had just graduated high school, you were very close and obviously went to the same school. Now there's been some time separation. Everybody's kind of doing their own thing. How much fun has it been to reflect back on the bond that you do have with your sisters today and kind of what you went through in high school?
I think back about it a lot, especially with all these Facebook memories popping up on all my old pictures. But I feel pretty blessed to have that, to kind of experience both, where I was the younger sister playing with an older sister, and then I was also the older sister playing with the younger sister, Grace. So all the practices, sometimes getting mad at each other during practice, and then just the car rides and just everything about it, I really like to reflect back on.
Well, certainly an amazing family. And your mom and dad, I know, not only support you, they travel a lot to go to your games, to Gracie's meets, Ainsley's youth league, and watch Lauren coach. So, the ultimate athletic family, but obviously a very gifted family. And Reagan, you are certainly the epitome of a student athlete, a great ambassador, not only to high school, but also to college student athletes. And we wish you all the best. And whatever happens, you have inked your name in the history books of Lindsey Wilson.
Thank you so much.
All right, come back and see us again. Congratulations on everything. Thank you, Lauren. Reagan. Lauren's your sister, see? I get them confused. Take care, Reagan. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Steve.
All right, well, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, more of the Sporting Time Show as Taryn and I wrap things up. Welcome back. Well, I know you've been on the edge of your seat since last week, waiting to find out who the boys and girls Player of the Week are. And of course, we have honorable mention. I'm going to kick it off for the boys. Honorable mention is we're going to start off with Logan County's Anthony Woodard. He had 22 points against Todd County Central, 7 rebounds. He was 4 for 7 from three-point range. He had a great game. Congratulations, Anthony.
Very solid game by Anthony. Our next honorable mention is Greenwood's Cade Stinnett, 28 points against Hopkinsville. He averages 16.4 on the season. And Doug, outpacing that by a large margin with 28 points. So congratulations to Cade.
Yeah, and what about Blake Melton from Clinton County? He averages 7.2 points per game. He puts up 20 points, a fantastic outing against Danville. Congratulations. Great job.
And then our boys player of the week is Bowling Green's Turner Buttrey, 29 points versus Ashland Blazer. He averages 18.3 points per game on the season. And Doug, the stat that we always love, that we always point out, 16 of 16 from the line. When you go 16 to 16 from the charity stripe, you have to be boys player of the week. I mean, that's phenomenal right there. Congratulations to Turner, 29 points. That's big time right there.
So what you've learned from that is do not play knockout with Turner.
That's right.
You will never get the basketball back.
Turner is the gotcha king right there.
16 for 16. We'll have to keep an eye on that stat.
Absolutely.
That's amazing. Now, moving on to the girls, honorable mention. Do I go first this time or do you?
I believe you.
Okay, I'll go. Barron County's Raven Ennis, 21 points versus Pulaski County. She averages 15.5. She went 3 for 4 from the free throw line and had 5 rebounds. Very strong outing for her.
Absolutely. Our next honorable mention is Greenwood's Leah Trin. Goes for 29 points, averaging 18.6 points per game on the year, but 29 this past week. Incredible performance by Leah.
We talk about this young lady often on the show, but Warren East Lucy Patterson has a double-double, 26 points versus Cumberland County, and she just absolutely lit it up. She was 12 for 17 from the free throw line, and she had 12 rebounds. Very difficult to come up with the player of the week with some of these young ladies.
Yeah, and you speak about double-doubles, Doug. Well, we have another girl who had a double-double. That's Bowling Green's Meadow Tisdale, has 29 points, 11 rebounds versus Warren East. She's averaging 13.3 points per game on the season, but she goes off for 29 and 11. Congratulations to Meadow on a phenomenal game. That's a big-time double-double right there.
It was a huge double-double, and this is where we could have probably said, we're going to give it to 2, but we got to stay with the player of the week. So we went with South Warren's Gracie Hodges. Listen to this. She has a double-double. She has 22 points. She only averages 10.6 per game. She goes 16 for 18, and she has 10 rebounds against a very good Warren Central Lady Dragon. So congratulations to South Warren, Gracie Hodges, and to all the student-athletes who got either honorable mention or Player of the Week.
Yeah, Doug, and we see in these honorable mentions and Players of the Week on the boys and girls side, what we have talked about, it seems like every week so far this season, and it's the point totals that we have seen put up by individuals. The individual performances have been exemplary so far this season, and we see that once again this week. Just flat out fantastic play.
It's what amazes me, Taryn, is the fact that there has been a lack of consistency in games, in practices. They're being interrupted. They can't do this. They can't do that. But yet these athletes come out there and they do this stuff.
Yeah.
And if we dug a little deeper, who knows? We could have added another 5 kids to either one of these lists here. But there is some really great basketball going on, not only individually, but as a team, as we see in Bowling Green and some of these other teams, Clinton County, Allen County, Scottsville. They've done great.
Yeah, absolutely, Doug. And I want to give a shout out real quick. Peyton Dial from Metcalfe County.
Yes.
I was out there for their game against Cumberland County just a couple weeks ago. He goes off for 31 points in a flat out phenomenal performance. Very entertaining game in District 16 ball. So shout out to Peyton Dial. But that just echoes your sentiment and what you're saying. Just some incredible individual performances so far this year. And there's no reason to think that we won't continue to see this going out through this month and through March.
I agree. It's going to be fun. And by the way, if you can't get to a game, download the Sporting Times app on Roku or Amazon Fire TV. We archive all of our games on demand. Check it out. Go to stfanclub.com. You can watch games there as well. But it's going to be an exciting time of year as Taryn and I begin to wrap things or unwrap things in basketball and wind things down as we get into the postseason. But anyway, thank you very much for joining us tonight. We appreciate it. We'll see you next week, same time, same place. Have a great week.